story from my youth. This one has no lesson to be learned or message to be gleaned. Often my father liked to take me on hunts in the forested lands east of Avaldsnes. I loved these solitary times with him. I had never felled a beast myself, and my father saw that this upset me. I was only a boy, but I had the dreams of being a man. So one winter, my father asked me to perform a bargaining ritual to the goddess Skadi to improve his bow skill and snow sight. With glee warming my heart, I cut a hare and sacrificed it to the goddess, asking in exchange of skill and sight for my father. When the ritual was done, my father and I set off into the forest. We hunted all day until night fell, and we slew no game. That night, around the fire, I was sullen. My sacrifice had not been heeded, yet seeing my sad face, my father only smiled. Had you been hunting, he said, you would have killed 6 fine deer. For Skadi hears only those who speak to her.
We need an epic tale.
My first day defending the walls of Grantebridge, my duty was defense. I had asked for this task myself. As I patrolled the walls, I sang and banged my shield against the ribs of the walls. I woke half the camp with my wailing. I sang from the eddies as Gallon, Leaf, and Soma threw rocks at me. They thought me too frivolous. Until the day I caught a spy. Some filthy shadow walker trying to rob us. Of what? Only Loki knows. Gallon killed him before he could be tried. My point is, always be loud. Act a fool. Be a nuisance. It is your greatest defense. For the less your enemy thinks of you, the more he thinks you a fool, the more likely he is to make a grave error. We are here to stay, are we not? Heed my advice, and you will live a long, long time.
You salt skulls, got a story?
It was a man called Kjotve the Cruel that brought me to these rain-soaked shores. You all know the name. Of that I am certain. He and my father Rognvald had some disagreements. But my father was never one to bow his head and keep silent. Kjotve's men came for him when I was out hunting. I was not there to defend him. And then when my brother Gurim also fell, I, like a coward, fled to England. I swore that in time I would return to avenge my father's death. But I waited too long. Upon my return from Francia, I heard the news. Kjotve the Cruel is long dead, slain by the hand of Eivor, the wolf-kissed one. I am glad my father's killer is dead. But gods, I wish I had been there to swing the axe myself.
When I was 11 winters old, I was the youngest of my favorite cousins. A wild and rowdy bunch of boys and girls. Together with our parents, we attended a feast at the home of Halfdan the Black of the House of Yngling. To toughen our patience, our parents set us with the old woman, who ordered us to bake flatbreads and serve it to the noble jarls. After an hour, the flatbreads piled so high into pillars, you could have built a roof over it and called it a longhouse. When our work was done, an older boy, Guthrod, suggested we steal a keg of mead and drown in happiness for our good work. So Guthrod, Mikkel and Åsa snuck into the storeroom and stole a barrel as I stood watch. But when we were spotted, I froze. 3 of Harald's men stopped us. They struck Guthrod and Mikkel and pushed Åsa to the ground. Whose idea was this? They asked. I stood and said, the idea was mine. The mead is for me. One of the men eyed me and said only, that is not true. Then, they moved on.
My scars tell good tales. Take this one. A hole through my chest and out my back. Just missed my heart. The elk up north are abundant. So I led a bunch of men into the woods, and we found 2 big males jousting. I had never seen anything like it. Horn on horn, bone on bone, at that speed, with that power. Over and over and over again, until only a single elk stood standing. Bloody, triumphant, facing me. We were two giants, going at it from food, land, sex. My blood was pumping. I told the men to lower their bows as I approached it. I cast my spear aside, dug my boots into the snow. This was my land now. I had to prove it. We ran towards each other, and crash! I woke up at camp with my screaming. Men killed the elk for food and nursed me back to health. The first lesson England taught me. Don't fuck with the elk.
Let's hear a story.
A good shag story should liven our spirits. Now all your shag stories are surely dumb and swift. I joke. You are surely the greatest lovers, every one of you. However, my stories of shagging are greater than most sagas. I once shagged in battle, inside a monastery with a kindred warrior. We finished on the altar, forgetting all gods and all spirits. You rise higher than spirits when you plow with hugger and abandon. I once shagged in the crook of a tree's branches, like the legs of a jotun wrapped around us. We finished and fell to earth. A good shag is a great escape. That is my meaning in this story. If you find another, that is yours to keep. Okay, back to these swan roads.